You know what I need? I need like a theme song, an opening sequence. Someone made us one once. Forgot to actually set music to it and set it up. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. But yeah, I hope everyone's okay. Hey, cherries, how's it going? Gonna wait for a little bit for people to pop in. Let me let people know we're up in here. Da, 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 da. Yeah, but as you're coming in, hit the likes. That helps a lot. Hit the likes. We're not gonna wait too much longer. We're just gonna hop right into it because just want to get it going. But I was thinking about something, and this is about a lot of shows. This is a kind of problem with I think modern writing in general. But we're gonna use a handful of recent shows to illustrate it. And again, it's not gonna be a long one. If you've noticed, we've been keeping them short, and they keep getting shorter. But my current obsession is She-Hulk, but this is not an episode just about She-Hulk. It's about a bunch of things. It has to do with a lot of things. So I'm kind of going to use the She-Hulk thing as a jumping off point to talk about other movies and shows that do this. But what I want to talk about is the idea of this is building off of last time. Remember we were talking about there's a difference between just writing yourself and then writing the insights you learn from your experiences. So you write your experiences in a universal way that reflect the universal insights that other people can, use, from your experience. Then there's just you writing yourself and your experience as they only pertain to you, the individual, in a very individualistic, self-centered way. You're just thinking about yourself. You're writing about yourself in a distancing way, in a way that's very, isolating, except for maybe a handful of people who are just like you, who think like you, who talk like you, etc. So, it's kind of very off-putting. And shows like She-Hulk are a perfect example. It's like basically a show for like childless liberal girl moms. No, no, not girl moms. Childless liberal girl bosses, who are bitter. So if you're in that narrow group, yeah, but all it's doing is affirming them and settling scores with their enemies. And a lot of like, these shows do that, but there's nothing bigger, you know? And I want to share this story. This is what people think. So I got this theory, right? I wish you could find the tweet because someone made a good tweet that it was a while ago, but someone made a tweet a while ago was talking about how 80s babies had to watch TV shows that they had no business watching. Y- like so you had no business watching the show, but because it was on the air and there wasn't that much content out there. You didn't really have much in the way of choice. So it wasn't uncommon, for people in like I was a kid, but you'd watch things like Golden Girls just because you could, just because there weren't cartoons on 24 hours a day. There was not reliable VCRs, DVD players. There wasn't a million channels on cable. Yeah, you had to just watch what you could. You'd watch Designing Women. So it's like people be black and watch Golden Girls. G- Even if you were young, you watch Growing Pains. People just watch different things. But Gen X, I think, was the last generation to kind of have that. But the other generations, right? Like millennials and younger, came in an age where you did not have to watch anything out of your comfort zone and make yourself watch it if you didn't have to. You could just watch if all you wanted to watch was Disney and Nickelodeon type shows and Twilight, you could just watch that all day. If all you wanted to watch was urban television, then you know, that's it. You watch it. Yeah, you don't have to share your TV with anybody. Every single phone or iPad is its own personal TV. So, growing up, we had more people than television sets in the house. So you had to kind of compromise. You had to watch like a family show, something that everybody could just agree on. You know what I mean? So, y- you were kind of forced to watch things. Like Gen X people had all their nostalgic stuff, like their um Transformers, Care Bears, My Little Pony, whatever kid stuff they had. But they also watched older stuff. They watched Dynasty. Um, you just watch weird things that you weren't necessarily supposed to be watching. But then on top of that, you'd watch old shows. So everybody who grew up in the '80s watched Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, and Brady Bunch, to the point that they were able to do reboot movies for like all those things for '80s babies, because even though that wasn't really their generation, they watched it. Whereas now it's not really like that. Like the only old show I feel like young people watch for some reason, like I know millennials and Gen Z love the show Friends. Something about the show Friends translates to them. I don't know why. Yeah, yeah, infomercials. You watch infomercials. Oh, I mean, '70s babies. I mean, I brought up the '80s because that's the last time it happened, but it was even worse earlier on because in the '50s, '60s, and '70s, a whole house would have one TV. So it's a given, like, '50s, '60s, '70s had that stuff too. But um now you don't have to be inconvenienced to watch something you don't want to watch. You don't have to stretch yourself in any way to watch out of your age group. And it's even changing with books too. Like um when we were growing up, they would give you a reading list in school, and you had to read stuff like Old Man and the Sea. Uh, you had to read plays like Death of a Salesman. You had to read War and Peace and all these things that kids didn't get them. And you could go to the library and get young adult books. You can get Encyclopedia Brown. You can get all this stuff, but they made you read stuff out of your age range, even if you didn't get it. And I didn't appreciate it at the time, but one thing I kind of realized, right, growing up is as you get older, being conditioned to read grown up mature stuff, even if you didn't get it as a kid, primed your brain and trained it, and gave it a tolerance to read adult books. So when you were adult reading adult books, you understood them better. But I think that younger priming, that younger exposure helped you, even if you didn't feel it at the time. Now, what changed for millennials, this is what I think another thing that changed for millennials. They were able, like, they became this new wisdom. Harry Potter became huge, and then young adult became huge, and people were so excited. People were so excited that kids were reading Harry Potter. The kids were just reading in general. That a lot of people were like, "Yo, this is a good thing. Get more kids to read young adult." And the problem is that we're making kids read old stuff that's not fun. It doesn't affirm them. They don't see themselves in it. It's old and it's white and it's male and it's frumpy and it's dated. You know, let kids read about kids, let kids read stuff aimed at kids. And the idea was let them just read. childish stuff, and when they get older, they'll graduate and age up with it and read older stuff. That was the idea. You know, who cares if kids are reading comics? Like, if all you do is read comics, your parents would get mad at you back in the days. If all you read was kids' books, they'd get mad at you. They'd like, hey, put that stuff down, read something adult. Then the that became oppressive and gatekeeping and whatever, and it became about let kids read what they want. They'll naturally mature. And then what ended up happening was we just created a generation of people who read Harry Potter and young adult. And this went from kids who read comics, Harry Potter, and young adult to adults who read stuff that felt like Harry Potter and young adult stuff. So, like, and I think that's what's happening with these millennial writers. Like, these millennial writers, getting are making young adult books for adults, or like they grew up having to watch nothing. Like they spent the whole childhood just watching Disney Channel sitcoms and Nickelodeon sitcoms, and then they grow up and they or watching Twilight and doing all this stuff, and you didn't really have to go outside your comfort zone. So now you have shows like She-Hulk, which is a Disney Channel sitcom for 38-year-old bitter women. It They didn't grow up with any type of range, and they didn't have to read anything outside of their age range when they were kids. They didn't have to read anything outside of their current era, anything that they didn't feel directly affirmed by, and they just produce work that has nothing to do but to affirm them, settle scores with their enemies, and feel like the Nickelodeon and um Disney shows they watched as a kid, to feel like Twilight, to feel like the young adult books, to feel like Harry Potter. And the stuff is like terrible, you know? Yeah, Night Court was a good one. Yeah, you said to watch Night Court. You used to watch Cheers. Look, I'm like a kid and I'm watching people get drunk in a bar. Middle-aged people get drunk in a bar. Yeah, this is a great example. Said I remember watching MASH and Empty Nest on Saturday nights. Like, that was normal. It was very normal, and people thought that people were getting deprived by that in later generations, and we thought we were doing people a favor by making people not have to sit and deal with something. I mean, I think this is why now we have people who is like, you know, I was complaining about this, but if I don't get to the point in a YouTube video in 6 minutes, someone's always writing, "Damn, fam, maybe wait 6 minutes." It's like, dude, what the fuck you have to do? You can't wait 6 minutes. There's a progress bar, but there's this idea I cannot. If you don't grab me right away, and then I'm just gonna be like a big grown infant. But yeah, oh yeah, watching Taxi. Oh, Coolio die. R.I.P. I didn't know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's I think what that has led to, in particular, with these certain single women who are writing stuff now from this generation, and to a degree with the men too, but particularly with a certain type of woman that they're hiring in these things, everything is about high school. Like, they have not developed beyond high school, and I want to show you what I'm talking about. So, because She-Hulk is so amazingly bad, I've become kind of just obsessed about, like, how did it come into existence? How did so many professional editors and writers and executives, how did so many eyes see this and just let it hit the airwaves? One thing I found out apparently was that this is actually the retooled version. They finished it; it was supposed to come out earlier, and it was so bad they changed the orders of the shows and worked on this one more. And we're seeing the improved version that was delayed and retooled and had more CGI. So this is actually the improved version. It was actually worse. Um, but check this out. This is the interview I found with the writer of the show, She-Hulk, the head writer. She-Hulk's Jessica Gao reveals which movie inspired her Black Widow pitch. Jessica Gao is currently riding high in a successful launch of her Marvel Studios Disney Plus series, She-Hulk Attorney at Law. The new superhero series is being well received by the fans and critics for its comedic tone, tight pacing, and its fresh take on superhero narratives. Jennifer Walters is witty, breaks the fourth wall Fleabag style, and is in complete control of her rage, except for every scene where she's not in control of her rage, where she flips out on the Hulk and gets into a big fist fight with him, or tries to straight up murk um, a couple of guys that catcalled her. But of course, this is show media, so you're supposed to take everything the show tells you about itself at face value and repeat it uncritically. So fine, okay. So in a recent interview with the Rap, the Rick and Morty alum revealed details about. I'm actually regret that I chose this article to talk about because this is an aside. What is it with journalism now and clickbait and just garbage content reproduction, right? Where they make articles summarizing another article. That drives me nuts. So I should just go to the Rap. Like, why am I reading an article about an article? You know, like that's the weirdest. So you know what? Let me just go to the Rap. I want to stop supporting that practice. That's a such a horrible way. Nobody should get paid for just reading and summarizing another article. You know, it's like TV news. If TV news was just done by filming a newspaper and just if that was network news. You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous. So I'm gonna go to the original article, the actual interview. That's I didn't notice that before. Okay. Again, this starts with another gushing. All these things start with amazing gushing things. Okay, so she was She-Hulk Attorney at Law was spawned in part from a pitch she made to Marvel Studios for the Black Widow movie. So she pitched the Black Widow movie first. When the Rap asked about her pitch, she was reluctant in case she wants to use elements of it for a future project. So keep this in mind. She loves this idea so much and is so married to it. She was afraid to even tell it because she wants to use it for a future project. So she goes, it was basically a gross point blank story for Black Widow, Gao said. Basically, you find out that in high school, as a teenage spy Russian agent, she was planted in an American high school because she had to assassinate someone's dad. And then 20 years later, she goes back to the high school reunion and has to deal with the fallout of this fake identity where she betrayed all these people in high school. And then the interviewer goes, "How great does that sound?" Not great at all. That sounds fucking horrible. And why are you just uh gushing at for her every single paragraph? Just do the interview. That's so annoying, right? So the Black Widow was orphaned as a child, taken by this government program, and trained to be a super spy in this crazy thing called the Red Room with all this ballet, and she knows like a 8 martial arts and can kill people in a bunch of different ways. It can handle a bunch of weapons and has all these gymnastics and has been groomed from birth to be like some kind of super killer assassin crazy thing, right? Um, yeah, all this stuff. And the biggest thing you could think of her to do, the biggest story you could tell stories about her globetrotting across the earth, all the crazy things she did before she joined the Avengers. You can talk about how the Red Room came to be. You can talk about how she broke free from it. The biggest thing you can think of is high school reunion. Like all these people can think about is the smallness of their lives. No matter how big a canvas you give them, no matter how big a world building world that you give them. If you gave them Game of Thrones, and let them do Game of Thrones. They would talk about Ned Stark in high school. They'd find some way, or dating, or what it's like for Arya to date around. And like no matter what it is, that's all these people can do. There's no intellectual curiosity. There's no willingness to expand their mind or their knowledge or their worldview or experience to match the big, big world that they were given. They just sit there and try to think, how can I shrink this into my smallness so I don't have to stretch myself at all? Like, they can't even stretch themselves enough to learn law, enough to fake it for the show. They just gotta make law dumber and simpler and stupider to their intelligence and knowledge level. Like it's just nutty to me. Like, why would the Black Widow go back to high school? Like, why would she go back to this high school if she was just planted there uh as an assassin to kill someone's dad? She either succeeded and killed the dad, or she didn't, but she was there as a fucking assassin. What kind of deep abiding friendships would she have? Like, what would she go there and expect to do? Like, like, it's gonna be like Never Been Kissed, like a Drew Barrymore movie. It's gonna be like everything is high school for these people. It's everything is like they haven't gotten past high school. I don't know if they were bullied in high school or if high school was the best time of their lives, but even when they write other things, like when you watch She-Hulk, her career feels like high school. She's got a bestie. She's got like a jerk in the next office. She's like sitting at the cool kids table. Like, she's working at DA and then a huge big law firm, and it doesn't feel like a real adult setting. It just feels like her job is a high school and with high school dynamics. When she goes dating and has romance, it just feels like high school dating or college dating. The superhero stuff just feels like high school. There's a wedding that happens in episode 6, and the wedding feels like a prom. Like, everything just feels small. Everything has to shrink. Um yes, hit the like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit those likes. We got enough people in here. We should have more likes. And yeah, support the show in the ways down there. There's a bunch of ways to support the show. But yeah, likes, 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 likes. Comment, 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 comment. Apparently that helps. Yeah, so I want to read some chat real quick. But here you go. Notice how journalists more and more tell you something is good, popular, groundbreaking simply by saying it is. Facts be damned. Yeah, totally. It's like the will to power. We're gonna will this to popularity. Someone said this is amazing because I say so. School of Entertainment Journalism. Yeah. No, it's really really nutty. It's And someone said the ratings are in the toilet and everybody knows it. Yeah, but they try to pretend it's not. And they just keep beating you over the head with it until they hope it becomes true. It becomes a narrative, right? But it's like, okay, so I think streaming media and endless need for content encourages writers' small conceptual scope. If that's wave around for broad thinkers, they would never get enough talent. That's true, but they're given stuff where all the broad thinking was done for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even have to world build shit. They just gave it to you. Like, you were put on third base and you didn't even have to be up at bat. All you just need is to just run the extra base to go home. Like everything's been done for you, and you still just can't get it done. You can't think. Like, the lack of intellectual curiosity is just insane. But okay, we're gonna keep going. So we're still on this part, right? So it got rejected, rightfully so. I mean, I heard what they did make for Black Widow still sucked, but at least it wasn't in high school. It definitely sounds better than that. Like it's just amazing to me. Like, what the hell is she gonna do in high school? There's probably gonna be some guy she had a crush on, or had a crush on her, whose heart she broke, or you know, some nerds that like I don't know what was gonna happen, but it just sounds really, really stupid. After all this stuff this woman has been through, her big desire is to go back to a high school that she was only there as a plant for, and you know, and with people that she tried to kill and try to shoot the shit with them. Like that's nuts. That's the biggest drama, the biggest conflict she could think. Uh, that her high school friends feel betrayed. People from 20 years ago, right? So they got rejected, of course. Now here's the crazy thing: Marvel kept inviting her back. Like, why would you let someone give you a pitch like that? And she had a couple more movies: Captain Marvel and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And I'm still curious what those pitches were. Like, I just imagine that Captain Marvel going to high school, um, or she's in space getting her powers, and she's in a space high school, and that's where she had the power. Shang-Chi, the father ran a high school in China, and that's where he learned. Like I don't know what, or maybe he didn't have to watch it. I don't know. So um, so she met with three things altogether, and then they brought her back for a fourth thing, which was She-Hulk, and then she finally got that. But one thing um I thought was interesting. She says that every time she went to pitch her movie, um, she would start with, "Hell, hey, what's up? Is it a time of year where you reject me again? Cool. What have you been up to since you rejected me?" It just really made the room very warm. And I think in her mind, that's like funny sarcasm to be passive aggressive, but it really explains the character's humor to me. When she writes She-Hulk, she's really snarky and obnoxious all the time. Like when Bruce Banner is telling her that her blood has extra healing powers, he goes, "Oh, so I'm better than you." And I know people like that. They think that like they're being cute, and they think people like when they are acting like snarky and competitive all the time or passive aggressive. And people are actually like really annoyed, but they have no idea that they come off that way to people. And I can just imagine every time she's just there passively aggressively uh griping about being rejected and whatever. And but I mean they eventually gave her She-Hulk, and lo and behold, who can believe the person that made a pitch that crappy um made a crappy show. But there was another show called Kenobi. And Kenobi was an interesting show because it's about Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it has the same problem, right? Um they had the same problem where actually it's interesting. I didn't see this the first time. So I'm gonna stop what I was gonna talk about because it's interesting. So she already said that she kept being snarky and passive aggressive as she went into the room, right? I didn't see this part. She goes, this was also, she admits, where her trolling of Kevin Feige was first established. Um, the running joke was meant to crescendo a few weeks ago at San Diego Comic Con on stage at Hall H. I wanted to get a classic Kevin black baseball hat that said Kevin sucks on it. I was going to wear it backwards when I came onto the Comic Con stage so nobody saw what it said, Gao said. The first time I got asked a question, I would first Sylvester Stallone in over the top style, turn it around so that everybody could see that it says Kevin sucks. Then just not talk about it and answer the question. Then I present the Kevin sucks hat to Kevin. That's her idea of funny, to embarrass you know, uh her boss with a Kevin sucks hat. When she told um Feige about it, he suggested that instead of a baseball cap, she should wear one of her trademark jumpsuits and have Kevin sucks embroidered across the back. If I had time, I would have absolutely found an embroiderer to custom embroider Evil Knievel style Kevin sucks across the back of my jumpsuit and I'd strut out on stage, and then I do a spin. Then with my back to the audience, just point with my thumbs, Gal said to the Kevin Sucks, on the back of her jumpsuit. Still, she said that her good-natured ribbing of Feige is 100% our dynamic in person, and that Comic Con says a lot about who he is as a person and his inability to take himself too seriously. And first off, that's just not funny. It's like I can see the fact that you're so pleased with it. They bring it up to the interviewer. Like you're just so damn pleased with this joke. Oh, I was sharing the wrong screen all this time, I think. I still had the collider screen on, but I mean, you heard what I read, so you get the point. So the other thing is that's very high school humor. That's what I'm talking about. Her humor is still stuck in high school. Like, I'm gonna wear a hat that says Kevin sucks. I'm gonna put Kevin sucks on my back. Then I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna point my thumbs, and childish, childish, childish. Uh, yeah, it's just very, 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 very. Oh no, it is the point. She said that she was making her own version of Gross Point Blank. She actually says that. Thanks for the donation, Ezekiel Castleton. You're preaching, especially when you see the differences across sequels made in different eras. See my comment in the chat. Last of Us 2, same setting, but reduced to a story about a woman's revenge against another woman's fantasy over a father she resented before he dies. The action increased, but the stakes went down. Uh, Whereas the original one was about saving the world. Yeah, that totally happens all the time. The stakes go down. So there was this show called Kenobi with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they made it intersectional, and they made it like today's Twitter. They made it like a workplace, and they made it like uh woke black girl problems. That was Kenobi. So this thing was a galaxy far, far, far away in a time long, long, long ago. Huge galaxy, decades of world building, and you're picking up and inserting an installment of a grand epic. Now it's a grand family epic. Star Wars is a grand family epic, and it's George Lucas wanted it so much to be universal that he worked with Joseph Campbell to try to find out what are the basic elements of myths that happen around the world throughout history. What do they have in common? Struggles between fathers and sons, sibling rivalries, getting out of the shadow of your parents, the call to adventure, the risking yourself to save people you love. Just grand, timeless things that happen from culture to culture, family, war, um, colonialism, all this stuff. And they just made it into a small little revenge saga mixed with workplace drama. Like this girl, Reva, her big grievance, despite her surrogate family being killed by Darth Vader, is being the best at her job and men stealing the credit. And she's a black woman and she's being shit on by the white men. And they're doing stuff like stealing credit. Even though they're not literally white, they have like makeup and look like aliens. The actors are white and they're coded white. And there's this part where she kills or apparently kills um her boss and mentor and basically betrays him. And when she kills him, um and she lets Obi-Wan free because she wants to kill Obi-Wan herself, she basically says, you thought you were gonna steal the credit for this? And it's like, okay, this is how like woke black women on Twitter or woke people on Twitter, like those Black Lives Matter type people, That's how they tweet. Everything's about, oh, I need to get credit. We led the protest. We did this. We did that. Um, you know, uh, we lead movements. We do this. Uh, Black woman told you. I don't know if you always see that genre of tweet. Like, they're doing it right now with the Dahmer thing, right? Because white people have been seeing this and not even making it in their stuff to pander. So they kind of made the focus of Dahmer about how, like, oh, black women were telling everybody, but no one listened to black women, and so they made this about that. So it's about her not getting credit for her dues and dealing with microaggressions in the workplace. She took a huge, universal, sprawling family war epic and just made it like small and petty and high schooly and clicky. And they do this with everything. And also, and this is what I was saying about how you used to have to watch stuff from like before you were born or whatever, or things from different eras, different regions, because they don't do that anymore. These writers have to make everything like our lives today. So it's like, because black people and women are oppressed and have to deal with this stuff in the workplace today, you're now in a world that's millions of years ago, eons ago, and light years away. And you're going to say, even in that distance, these people, black people and women, are still on the bottom. A workplace is the exact same millions of years ago and millions of light years away. And it's almost like a weird kind of racist, almost a race science implication, because at that point, is being black just genetically inferior? Like, are you so destined and genetically programmed to be in the bottom that no matter what environment you are, no matter, you could go a million years from now in the future or a million years in the past, and black people are always going to be in the bottom and always going to be complaining about the same stuff, and white people are always going to be on top? And like, how limited is your imagination of what a past or a future can be? I mean, maybe there's a hero's journey, but even as a hero's journey, it's small. Like, the call to adventure might just be to get a date to the prom. You know, yeah, like, you can do a hero's journey, but the journey is just really small. Yeah. Um, the fourth wall breaks are from first of all, it's John Byrne, not Steve Byrne, but they're from John Byrne's sensational She-Hulk runs, but they had a point. I'm gonna tell you why they're different. They used the fourth wall breaks to actually play with the format of the comic. So she would go between the walls of the comic. Sometimes she would jump from location to location by just using the panels. She would do stuff like, to get somewhere by a shortcut, she would tear through the page. She would do all these cool visual gimmicks so that, and then you would see the bottom page. Let me see if I could show some examples. Hold on. Because I feel like people are just quick to just say things to give things a pass, you know, and people say, "Oh, that's just what they did in the John Byrne thing." But it's like, no, it's not just what they did. What they did was very different. So I'm gonna give I'm gonna give one example. I'm gonna give a couple examples. So if you look at this one, because I read this back in the day. So in this one, I don't know if you can see it easily, but on the right, she's bursting through a page, right? Now, if you see where my mouse is? She burst through the page to complain about the ending of the book sucked that John Byrne did. So she's calling out John Byrne, the writer. So she tears through here, right? And John Byrne used to did this thing with an all white page in one of his other comics, and everybody hated it. So she had him. he had her burst through to complain because he was trying the same gimmick again, and he gave her story a crappy ending. And then what she says this time is, you know, she wants to do the ending right this time. Now, if you look behind them, right? If you look behind them, do you see another She-Hulk there and other stuff going on? What happened when you read the book? After you turn this page, the next page is the background here. So he worked. So he had to know what the layout of the book was going to be and which page was going to be on which side to make this work. So what happens is when you turn this page over, you actually see on the page under this all this art that's behind them. Am I making sense what I'm trying to describe here? And I'll give another example, right? He has her rip the page here. There's another time where he has her rip the page, right? And she rips the page to try to get over on a supervillain by going to a different part of the comic. When she rips the page, you see all those numbers there? That's an ad. When you turn the page over, the opposing page under it was an ad. So what he was doing was he was pushing boundaries and doing all types of cool, different little gimmicks. Those are just two examples, but they weren't always ripping the page. He would do a bunch of different sight gags. So it served the purpose. What he was doing. They would do stuff like jump between panels. I'm trying to find one where she goes from one place to another. Oh yeah, here it goes. So as a shortcut here, she's in one room, and instead of like walking up the stairs and everything, she's like, "Why don't I just cut across this panel?" And they're having fun with it. When the She-Hulk show breaks the fourth wall, they're only doing it as an Easter egg to the fact that the comic book, like they have no organic reason to do it, and they're not playing with the format. They're not doing anything clever. She just looks at the viewer and then just talks. You see what I mean? Like all she does is just they're like, okay, we want to give a cheap Easter egg to the fans and just take an idea. So there's no organic reason in the show for her to be doing the fourth wall. Number one. Number two, they don't do anything cool with it. Like say, for example, they could do this. Let me give you an example of transferring it to a video medium. She could get someone have to drop on her in a fight, and then she finds a remote control and she hits the rewind button, and then she rewinds the scene, or she hits that skip backwards 15 seconds button on a TV remote. She hits that button and she jumps back 15 seconds, and then when the villain jumps in to surprise her this time, she decks him because she's ready for him this time, and he's like, "How are you ready for me?" That's an example of what John Byrne used to do. You work in the fourth wall to do like clever stuff, and she could fuck around with the credits, do different things, but they don't do that. All they do is just have her look at the screen and just say something that you can clearly see with your own eyes anyway, just to say, "Hey, look, we're breaking the fourth wall." Yeah, yeah. See. Oh, yeah, exactly. There was a Looney Tunes thing where Bugs Bunny and Daffy are breaking the fourth wall, and they're erasing cartoons. They're fucking with the cartoonist, and yeah, they play with the format. And Daffy Duck got mad at the animator, and yeah, if they broke TV tropes in the same way the comic book broke comic book tropes, and the format was being upended, you might have something. Even if it didn't work, they get props for trying. Yeah, so people keep saying, "Oh, they're just doing what John Byrne did." Like, first off, that doesn't make it okay because just because John Byrne did it doesn't mean it works for this format. But number two, no, they're not doing what John Byrne did because you're reducing it to the laziest example of what John Byrne did. Like, that's not what John Byrne did, except in the broadest sense. Um, yeah. So the last episode of She-Hulk just keeps having the smallness, and I'm gonna give you an example. But yeah, so yeah, same thing with the Reva thing. It's just really small. Nothing happens. It's just this in the middle of the huge Skywalker epic. You have this stupid thing about somebody um getting getting credit. Like so much of the show is dedicated to Reva kicking ass at her job, and in the Empire, she works for the evil Empire, and it's like office politics. Like you just reduced it to office politics. It's just really weird. And I was trying to imagine if someone actually tried to watch all the things in order, mixing in the Lucas stuff with the sequel trilogy, with the Disney Plus stuff. I just imagine just getting through the original prequels and then jumping to Kenobi as the fourth thing you watch, and suddenly everything is slowed down to this silly, um, petty, like the white men are being racist, and I'm gonna show the men up nonsense. But okay, I don't know if the sound plays. Tell me if you can hear the sound. Can you guys hear that? Hit a one if you can hear it. Did that make any sound? I also have to be careful because of fair use, so I can't play too much at a time. I might be better off not even playing the sound, actually. Hey, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. No sound, huh? Let me see. We're gonna try something else. Let's try it one more time. But yeah, space opera. Um, no, I can't use captions because it doesn't have a subtitle track, unfortunately. But you actually don't even need to. It's actually probably better because it'll probably alert it'll probably alert the algorithm that I'm showing stuff and have to fight it with fair use. So I'm actually gonna play without the sound. I think it's actually better actually to play without the sound. Oh wait a minute. No, I do have a way around it. I just thought of it. Give me a second. I can actually get around this. All right. Tell me if the sound plays now. I think I figured something out. Okay. Did the sound play? Hit a one in the chat if the sound played. If it didn't play, then I'm just going to play without the sound. Okay. So it didn't play. But actually it's probably for the best anyway, because like I said, less likely to get a copyright strike. So let's ah one more idea. I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. Now it's gonna play. I'm like super sure of it.
Samples. It's way too dangerous to get out.
You guys heard it that time, right? But even if you didn't, I'm jumping to the scenes anyway that I want to talk about. So she has these court cases. This is a recap of a previous case, and you can have the most amazing. You get the Marvel universe, and this is supposed to be a superhero law firm. They hire her to be the face and the head of the superhero law department, and all she's doing is fighting small cease and desist things with magic. She's doing small things like a trademark case, and it's like these are just regular cases. The people in it just happen to be superheroes, you know? So it's like, what's the point? Like, you can hire any trademark lawyer to do a trademark case, just like everything again is small. But like in the comics, when she used to have superpowered cases, they'd be these crazy cases, like, when it has to do with like time travel and what does a precedent mean when the past has been rewritten over and over, which set of facts actually counts. You know what I mean? Or parallel universes. Can you be liable for something you did, in a parallel universe? Or if you did something bad, but then you time traveled and fixed it, but if it turned out they did the bad thing, should you still be liable for murder? Like all these kind of interesting things. These things are just always just small. A parole board hearing, a trademark case, a cease and desist order, for intellectual property. Oh, someone said, "Can I speed up the video?" That's a good idea. 'Cause I think if I do that, I think that also messes with the. I think that messes with the fair use thing. So yeah, I put it a little bit faster. Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing. I said Daredevil seems like a better lawyer. Yeah, he does, but that's not the point. Like, see, at least with Daredevil, he's doing regular people law. That's his secret identity. He's acting like a regular human. And he does regular law. Then he does super heroics. So not only is he a better lawyer, the fact that he does street level law is fine because that's built into the premise. Like, I'm not saying every superhero who's a lawyer has to do crazy stuff, but in this show, she's specifically hired to do super heroic law to the point that they want her to look like a superhero. But then the writers just think small. They just have corny stuff. They can never think of anything bigger. Yeah, and that's the thing. You send a clip looking at vast wonderful worlds. You tell someone anything you imagine we can make a show about, and you just want to make one about their minor problem. That's what everything is, just their minor problems. It's Mean Girls, so it's like Titania is like the mean girl who is a hater. She's Titania is like some big supervillain in the Marvel comics. Here she's just an influencer. And she has dumb frenemy mean girl drama with Jennifer. Like, you don't have any idea why she doesn't like She-Hulk, really. There's nothing.
Over here.
So I was gonna keep talking over it so you can kind of see. So this episode, what is she doing? She's going to a wedding. That's the big thing. And she's going to a wedding of someone that she doesn't even really like that much, right? And someone asked me before when I described the show to them, why is she going to the wedding of somebody she doesn't like? Where does she know the person from? Take a wild guess where she knows the person from. That's right, high school. She's going to a high school friend's wedding. So it's a wedding, but it's feels more like a prom, and also it's more like a high school reunion. So she kind of worked in that Black Widow plot of the high school reunion into this thing. So it's high school again. She's going to a high school frenemy mean girls wedding that she was invited to. Like, why was she even invited to this thing? She hasn't really known the girl since high school. So she goes, and now she goes back to high school with her high school friends. But now, but now she goes to the thing. But now she can go as She-Hulk, and she's like big and bodacious. So now everybody gets to be jealous. You know what I mean? And yes, and that's the girl. Like, you see how she was like seething, like, oh, oh, this is her fantasy. Oh, if I could make that girl that was cooler than me in high school just seethe with jealousy. They said they're living at the fantasies like an Alex L comic. Someone else said that's exactly what it's like. That's all they freaking do with this thing. It's really ridiculous. Fair use, fair use. So the girl asked her, "Can you please not be the She-Hulk? Be Jennifer."
No, you're gonna be walking with Jonathan. He's gonna be at the ceremony tomorrow.
Okay, so check this.
Jonathan, I love him. Jonathan is literally the best. Oh.
So all these dumb like mean girl stuff. That's all they get. But I want to.
This is the one.
So she's
Immortal.
Here's something else.
Mr. Hollis.
There's a guy in the comics called Mr. Immortal.
Your name was Craig Hollis?
He's this superhero who lives for forever, and he can't be killed. No matter what you do to him, you can nuke him, you can cut him up. He just comes back to life later. So it's called Mr. Immortal. He's part of this group called the Great Lakes Avengers, and he's also in love with another character who's also immortal, and it's really interesting because they're both immortal, but they choose to be monogamous, and I think it's really interesting, and it makes him kind of really upstanding guy. Like, you're gonna live forever. There's people who can't be with somebody for 1 month without getting bored and having to cheat, and he's just someone who's just so decent and good. He's got one partner, they're both immortal, and they love each other, and that's all he needs, right? And he's great in fighting. He uses his immortality for a lot of cool things. Like, he'll sacrifice his life and go through a lot of pain over and over, to help them win. So, like, there was one comic where he went to this painful nuclear reactor to turn it off to save his teammates. So even though he lives, he's not going to die. That's a lot of pain, but that kind of shows like he's a kind of a selfless person. He you know even though he's not risking his life to do it, he will subject himself. He'll use that immortality to subject himself to a lot of pain to help people. Like, you know, he loves. And you nailed it. Someone said, "Sounds interesting. How boring is he on the show?" So he's had to do him on the show. He's not a superhero. He's just an old guy, right? Looks nothing like the character. He doesn't have a costume. And what does he do? His whole shtick, and this is the women working out their issues and therapy on paper. He keeps getting married, but every time he gets married, he gets bored and he can't communicate because he's a man and men suck. Like you didn't have the Mr. Immortal from the comics because he actually makes men look good. And these women just want to gripe about guys they date and ex-boyfriends and people they meet on Tinder. So he can't communicate and he hates confrontation. So every time he has a problem in one of his relationships, he fakes his own death and so he can get out of it and ghost them. So they don't know that he's dead. They don't know that he's alive. He fakes his own death, ghosts them, and they marry someone else. And every time there's a problem, he dies again. Yeah, the whole show is just a giant subtweet. That's exactly what it is. So it's like that's the biggest thing you can think to do with this guy. It's just um, make him a representative for that boyfriend that broke up with you by text. Because what he's doing is a superpowered version of breaking up by text, or ghosting, you know, and it doesn't even make sense because you don't need to be immortal to fake your death, really, because you know you can just lie and say that you died, just or this, or, like what doesn't make sense is even if he fakes his death, what happens to the body? Because he resurrects right away again. So does he get buried? Does he get embalmed? Like each of these deaths that he has must involve his whole body disappearing. So then just disappear and then have someone say that you died. It just makes no sense that he needs this power. So these people you're seeing are all his ex-partners. One of them was a man. Um, and the weird thing is he's immortal, right? But somehow they're all the same age. You would think they'd range from like 100 to 24 or something, but that would require actually thinking, you know? Yeah, so all I can think about is themselves. That's the only thing they do. So that's basically Mr. Immortal. Um so Jennifer's at the wedding, so she's got to deal with stuff like this.
I'm sorry, you'll find someone. Don't feel
So
bad.
check this out.
Jen, I'm the worst. We haven't even gotten to catch up at all. How are you? What have you been up to? What's going on?
Oh, actually, I'm the head of a new department at GLK&H, which is like one of the most prestigious law firms in the country. And I mean, as you saw, I now have superpowers, which is nuts.
No, I didn't mean any. I don't want that. Like, are you dating a guy, a boy? Is there a boy in your life?
Oh, no.
Oh no. I'm sorry, you'll find someone. Don't feel bad.
Oh, I don't feel bad.
That's right. You know what? You still have a little bit of time.
Yeah, so that's basically all they can do with the She-Hulk is just how and something else. This show doesn't really like women either. Um, all like this. That's supposed to read like an Alex L comic. Is that it doesn't just hate the opposite sex. It low key hates women, like women who are like typically in society at high value, like pretty, tall, um, popular women, like quote unquote Stacy's, quote unquote Stacy's. They're always presented as vapid, mean. Like the only women that are cool are the lead character and the sidekick, because the lead character is a insert of the writers, and the sidekick just exists to keep saying how great the lead character is. But yeah, like the same way like incels hate like the Chads. This show, like um, every conventionally attractive or high value woman is kind of gets the shit taken out of her. So I feel like that's here with Jamila Jamil. She's like 6 feet tall, and exotic and beautiful, and it's like so some guy comes and he's hitting her at the wedding, and then the girl comes out and does more passive aggressive shit to her. So she asked her to wash the dishes at the wedding, and it's supposed to be self-deprecating, but it's not really, because these people, even when they self-deprecate, it's not really about how they suck. It's how everyone else sucks. So they never self-deprecate in the way that, hey, everyone else is normal. I'm the asshole. Like, for example, when Larry David self-deprecates, a lot of times he's the actual asshole. Sometimes the other people are assholes, and he's a normal sense of reason. But sometimes he's the asshole, and the other people are normal. But these people, they can never really self-deprecate, and when they attempt to, it's really about how everyone else has done them wrong. You don't have to be celibate to be an incel. I think this should be called. There should be a new word called insing, like INSING, for involuntary single. That's what I think these writers are. They're they're not involuntarily celibate, because a lot of women, they want to, they can get sex, but I got a feeling they can't get relationships. Like they're insings. That's what I'm gonna start calling them. So they have the whole court proceeding, and the whole court proceeding is about you know divvying up this guy's money. So they're supposed to be his lawyers, right? Now, if you're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. A lot of times you have to defend people that you don't like, especially in corporate law. That's your job. If you can't defend somebody in good faith that you don't like, you don't take the case. But because these women are so self-absorbed and self-centered to write this show, they don't even think about what a lawyer is supposed to do. So what they have the characters do, these women spend the whole time, because these women are inserts for themselves, lecturing the guy about how he doesn't communicate, how he sucks, he didn't do the right thing. Like, I'm not sure you've seen from the show, they lecture him so much at one point when they first meet him, and he even says in the scene, "Aren't lawyers supposed to be impartial, right?" And they're like, "No, we're not supposed to be." They're right. I turned the sound off because I don't want to. I don't want to risk the copyright strike. But okay, so they find out what a jerky is. Actually, let me play the sound.
Kill yourself to get out of the relationship.
Whoa, I don't kill myself. I'm walking out into traffic during rush hour and putting an end to the whole issue right then and there.
Wait, what? Let me get this straight. Are you saying that instead of having a conversation with your wife, you kill yourself to get?
Also, so he kills himself to get out of the relationship by walking into traffic. Okay, so what happens to his body? He doesn't even disappear. If he comes back to, like, what does the wife do? They're sent him to be cremated somewhere. They have to bury him. Like the show just makes no sense. It so wants to say what it wants to say. It doesn't care about basic things like plot and common sense, right? But anyway, let's go on.
Right then and there.
Wait, what? Let me get this straight. Are you saying that instead of having a conversation with your wife, you kill yourself to get out of the relationship?
Whoa, I don't kill myself. I'm immortal, so I can't die.
I'm sorry, and you think that this woman who has a law degree doesn't know what immortal means?
Well, but in
All right.
in my case, I do die, but only in the legal sense.
So you die.
I do dive, but only for a little. Kind of dive, but I do dive.
Did you ever feel bad about this tactic?
Oh, like I said, I'm a nice guy.
You see, and what the writers are doing are, using this to talk to a guy that ghosted them a long time ago. Did you ever feel bad about this tactic? Like, this is not real. Yeah.
I think this is the most considerate way to end a marriage.
Oh, considerate. That's not the word you're looking for.
No, you just
Wow.
don't know how to have any sort of confrontation whatsoever.
Oh, I thought that lawyers were supposed to not be judgmental.
No, they just have to represent you.
But even to represent them, you're still not supposed to be doing this. You're not supposed to lecture them. But notice what she said. She goes, no, lawyers aren't supposed to not be judgmental. We're just supposed to represent you, which doesn't make any sense. But go on.
Obviously, ending a relationship
that is so messed up.
hard, but so
Any
is
sort of
grieving
personal
the
growth,
spouse.
right? No, I'm not. He's like, I should worry about
So this nagging
He
him.
does it every single time.
Was there an insurance claim?
So they drive and just jump out the window, right? Yeah, and he said, "I'm a nice guy." I don't know if you guys caught that. Yeah, and he goes, "They're making him to an F boy." Yeah, it took this character from the comics and just they couldn't be bothered to actually write the characters. They made him to an F boy, right? But so watch what she said. She said, "Hey, we don't have to not judge you. We just have to represent you." But how do they represent him? What they do, they lecture him in the court, and they clearly take the wife's side. So
should be filing criminal charges. You are lucky you're not in prison.
I will.
So check this out.
I will never understand women if I live to be.
Husband, Roger.
This is exactly what I was worried about. Not only did you fake your own death multiple times, you also forged multiple fake identities. Frankly, all of these spouses should be filing criminal charges. You are lucky you're not in
So they're
prison.
clearly taking the spouse's side. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
And I will.
Well, understand this one. I'll look at you the best possible deal under the circumstances. Don't touch me. But let me tell you this. You're going to have to pay.
Why are you smiling?
It's kind of fun.
Now she goes, "I'm gonna get you the best possible deal, but you're gonna have to pay." How's it the best possible deal? You're clearly saying I'm gonna make you, like, she's clearly indicating she's gonna get him the worst possible deal. But they also want to have the girl boss fantasy, so they have her saying something that clearly doesn't make sense. Like, the best possible deal for who? So basically, what they end up doing, this is how they end up getting him. This is what the best possible deal is.
That'll work for you.
Does I have?
So watch this. Now remember, this is supposed to be his lawyers, not hers, right?
I got you. Sebastian, this is what we're gonna do. You are gonna be reimbursed for the Lake Lawn Mausoleum. Jasmine, real so chic. I love your stuff. Taylor, you are gonna receive back pay for the 2 years that you quit your job to help Paul run a rare jade shop in Piedmont. Cheryl, cash money. You want it? You get it.
Yeah.
Amy,
Yes.
you are going to receive a sincere apology with the meaningful eye contact.
Thank you.
Lasting at least 15 seconds. Okay? And remember, everyone, what's our mantra? Never again. Yes.
Yeah. So they basically just gave away honest money gleefully that they could, and then they even celebrate never again, right? Why don't they have their own lawyers? They do have their own lawyers. Those are the lawyers, basically. No, this is what I'm telling people. I love this show. This show it's so bad that it's entertaining. I just can't believe grown people were made to make this show. It's like, everybody, if you have a dream, go for it. Like, to get on $1 million show, you can do it. Everybody in this chat could write better than this. And these people have stands. I told y'all I got into an argument with one of the writers in the show, and I got swarmed by stands. They actually had people on her dick, like, with this level of writing. Like the person who wrote this episode, I got into an argument on Twitter. The person who wrote this episode, and they were all attacking me. Goes, "She's great. You don't know what good writing is." And I was getting trolled. I'm like, holy. I mean, I think those Twitter users were the only people watching the show because the ratings are in the toilet. No, yeah, it's yeah. So what do they need their own lawyers when they have these people on their behalf? So yeah, this is the best possible deal that they can get him. Is just give away his money and clearly collaborate with the other women and did it everything short of high five him. It was the funniest, like, and uh, the writer Dana Schwartz got mad at me for saying, actually, no, this one was written by Dana Schwartz. It's written by Kara Brown, who has written for Jezebel, who has me blocked on Twitter. Too, yeah, I think watching this could cure imposter syndrome. Yeah, I mean, try to write a script or a screenplay. You have a shot. I'm telling you, this is the best time to be untalented. Just affirm somebody. Find somebody and affirm them. And don't care if the plot works. Don't care if anything makes sense. Yeah, don't make it too good though, or you might not. So yeah, this is the big thing they could do with Mr. Immortal is to just have a fuckboy storyline with with him. Like I mean, even if they want to do something feminist, they could have done so much stuff. Like the guy, um, I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. This show, a new episode is coming out tonight at 3 a.m. Eastern time. First thing I do every Thursday morning when I wake up is watch this show. 'Cause I just want to see what new low they're gonna hit. And Jessica Gao, I think, is writing the next episode, and she really delivers on some of the bad stuff. So the She-Hulk gets drunk because she's getting treated bad at the wedding, and the wedding looks like a prom, right? Look at the DJ and people like they never even bother to show the groom, right? But see like all the mean high school girls and everything. This is the big thing that She-Hulk has to deal with. A superhero. She's a freaking Hulk. This is what she deals with. So she gets trashed and dances at the wedding. Oh, it's on Disney Plus, but you can like pirate it uh as well. And the thing is, if he lives so long, why is he so stupid? Like he's like a frat boy bro stupid. And he's like supposed to have lived like forever. So anyway, she meets this dreamy guy, right? And all she does is talk about herself.
They're Wednesday and Thursday.
Josh is good.
She-
That's
she-
a good
she-
name.
My parents.
Really?
Yeah.
They gave you a good face too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait,
Thank
let me
you for
see.
that compliment. I was wondering when you were gonna know this.
I just had my brain on way too much of this wedding stuff,
Oh.
big dumb marriage and love.
So you're romantic? That's what it is?
Oh, I don't actually hate love.
Oh.
Okay, hold on.
I just wanted to come to one wedding and show that I was actually doing pretty good. I don't have a
So yeah, high school union stuff. And she's like a superhero, a top lawyer, all this stuff, and she's talking about, this is her big problem.
friend or husband or
Oh, good
whatever.
to know.
And she just want to go to the wedding to show off and talk about herself.
The sequel.
Mm.
Listen.
Oh, yeah, I'm coming.
Okay, so I'm actually doing really so good.
Mm.
And
I'm doing
I
good.
have a great job.
I have a great job.
And I am so strong. Dude, I'm really, really strong.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. And you should see what my She-Hulk hair looks like.
Oh, I would love.
Yeah, so all she's basically talking, this is their idea of what a dream guy or dream date should be. He just comes. This is all he does. He's a good-looking, successful guy, and all he does is come and affirm her. He has no personality but affirming her and listening to her talk about herself. She had 2 good dates on this show. Both dates were that. One guy, he's like a pediatric oncologist who also has a body like The Rock, but is model Calvin Klein model handsome. And he shows to the date and he goes, I don't like talking about myself. Let me hear about you. And he's just this weird kind of thing, and this is the same thing. I want to play it again. This is
She-Hulk hair looks like.
Oh.
this is all he does. He just smile and listen to her affirm
Dude, I'm
herself.
really, really strong.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right.
And you did?
This is
Under husband. or
Oh, good
whatever.
to know.
Let me tell you the secret.
show you a secret.
Oh, yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay, so I'm actually doing really so
Mm.
I'm doing so good.
and I am a great job, lawyer
Good
in
job.
law, and I am so strong. You're doing really, really strong.
Yeah,
I'm so strong.
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
And you should see what my She-Hulk hair looks like.
Oh, I
She-Hulk.
would love to see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all he does. He's just an empty vessel. like this. She doesn't ask him a single damn thing about himself. I don't know anything about him. So anyway, someone says he's an NPC. So anyway, the show makes no sense, right? So there's so much dumb stuff about this show. I was supposed to end this early, but there's just so much dumb stuff. Hold on, let me find something else, right? So check this out. She fought this woman as the She-Hulk in the first episode in a crowded court. This woman tried to murder everybody on camera in a crowded court, and she beat her up as the She-Hulk. Right? Then they had a public battle in a courtroom over the trademark. So she's publicly tried to kill her. They had a fight, and they had a legal battle just like last week, right? So now she shows up to this wedding, and she's clearly there to fuck with the She-Hulk, right? But look at this.
Jen, I hear you. Again, I do. But you sound insane right now. Like Titania wouldn't just show up to my wedding, try and kill you or something. I don't know.
I'm literally just here to celebrate the love of Lulu and her groom. That's all, okay?
That's so sweet.
So they're like, oh, Jen, you're so crazy. Like Titania wouldn't just come here to kill you. She just tried to kill her last week on national TV. Like, and it wouldn't be bad if they were doing it on purpose. Like they were trying to be absurd. It would actually be pretty funny if like people were just so stupid in this universe. Like and she's like, oh, this woman just tried to kill me. But that's not what they're doing here. They just aren't thinking. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm telling you, this people say they want to watch the show. Yeah, the show is amazing. So she's like, yeah, it's the ultimate. I've never seen a show snitch on themselves so much. Everything about this show just gives away the mindset of these people in such a their insecurity in such a transparent way. And remember the last installment? Watch the last video I did, because I told you how Jessica Gao said that the writing room process for the show is they treat the show like therapy, and they just share cringe stories. They don't care about actually capturing the She-Hulk's character from the comics. They just talk about themselves. There's so much bad about this. I want to show you guys some more stuff. So anyway, check this out. So remember, Titania said that she wasn't there to kill, to fuck with the She-Hulk. She was just there to enjoy the wedding, right? So later on, sure enough, this happens. She goes and throws up because she's so drunk, right? Now check this out. Titania comes out.
Let it out, babe. Let it all out.
So Titania actually punches her, and lo and behold, she was there to kick her ass. Like, big surprise, right? Now, first off, two things. Look at this. She's human here. Titania is super strong. Titania can trade blows with the She-Hulk. Now, look at this.
Let it all out.
Look how far her head should have exploded. She's human. They didn't even think about that. So she got punched by somebody with Hulk strength across a concrete floor while drunk, and it's just like chilling.
Obviously.
So now it's like, it turns out, yeah, I am here to kill you or beat you or whatever, right? Now let me ask you this question. Why did she have to go to a wedding to do this? She could have just bum rushed her anywhere at any time. She didn't have to do this. Like, the plot makes no sense. Why did she go to a place where there are a bunch of witnesses and a wedding to do this? Like, it wasn't that she came in here to like maybe poison her or do some kind of subterfuge, or maybe the plan could have been to just gaslight her and make her keep accusing her but never do anything, and then like embarrass her, maybe psychologically torture her. But this whole plan was just to punch her, right? So she came for the smoke, right? But I'm saying she could have got the smoke anywhere. They live in the same city. She could have just punched her anywhere in the backyard or front yard. Like the whole thing made no sense. So someone might say this: maybe she just wanted to catch her um, off guard more, right? Um, so maybe she wanted to go to a wedding because the She-Hulk would be off guard. She'd be drunk, you know. But that's not it either because look at this.
It's no fun unless you're She-Hulk. Come on.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
I am.
So she's like, it's no fun unless you're She-Hulk. So she sits there and waits for her to turn into She-Hulk. Right? So it's not even about, hey, I just want to get a drop on her. I want to catch her drunk. So there's absolutely zero tactical advantage to coming to this wedding. But here's the best part. She turns into the She-Hulk, right? And y'all got to see the CGI. This is the real CGI. This thing cost $25 million an episode. Now, superheroes are supposed to take the fight away from the civilians. She just sort of takes a fight in. She just comes straight inside and just starts she jumps into the wedding and risks all these people's lives. They're having this fight. Now, this part is great. Look at this. Now you see that, right? That was sped up, but she took a hit, a She-Hulk hit to the face. And this is how it looks when you see it in normal speed. Slow motion, head on. Right? Blow. Head on. She takes a hit to the face. Full force. So, she's got that serious She-Hulk power. This woman is clearly super strong to be able to take this, right? Yeah, a Hulk fighting in a crowded room is like driving a car directing to someone else. Like, yeah, she's the hero. Yeah, but here's the crazy thing. She knocks this guy over. You see this dude she knocked over? It was upside down. She doesn't fucking care. She's like, whatever. Yeah, this dude just got knocked down. Nobody cares about him, including the so-called hero. So now look at this. This is how that guy wiped out hard. First off, I think it might be a different guy that fell. Is that the same guy? Hold on. Look at him fall down, and then look. So he fall. She knocks him into the dude. She sort of punches the guy into an innocent dude. That's clearly a different guy. Before and after the fall. So now she's coming. People are filming her. She's mad. She runs. Check this out. She slips on ice and lands on her face. And then there's this comedic pratfall. She stands up. Her teeth are broken. And she's so embarrassed that she gets mad. The mean girl gets mad and then runs. Oh, and that's the other thing. The same dude that the She-Hulk punched him into gets knocked down again by her. And Jennifer's still responsible for that too, because she wouldn't have been in a position to knock him down if not, right? So I'm gonna ask you all the question. How can you take a Hulk punch to the face, but the floor knocks your teeth out? Yeah, totally. Yeah. Spider-Man 2 had the same problem. Spider-Man 2 had the same problem where she knocked the color out of his hair. Yeah. This show is like a B movie, but it's $25 million an episode. I don't know where the money goes. Yeah, but and then it's crazy. I joked about this on Twitter, and somebody was making excuses for the show. I guess you don't read comics. That happens all the time in comics. And it's like, okay, if you like the show and you want to defend it, just defend it, but don't make shit up. Like this dude is saying, "Oh, that happened in comics." I have never read a comic where somebody took a punch from Superman, but then falling on the floor knocked him out. Like, shut up. I hate when people do that. Someone, it's like I loosened the jar for you. Yeah, it's exactly what happened, right? Um, and this gets better, right? So yeah, so everything is just this is like really ridiculous. But here's one last example. I mean, first off, this makes no sense, but it has to do with, it doesn't have to do with the bigger point. But check this out.
She-Hulk is at my wedding. Yeah, I love you so much.
Now this makes no sense. Remember, the same girl was jealous and upset when she showed up as She-Hulk because she was taking all the attention. So now she shows up again at the end, but now things are even worse because now the She-Hulk is actually literally wrecked her wedding, like destroyed it physically. So now you think this same girl's gonna be really mad this time, right? Here's her reaction this time.
Oh my god. She-Hulk is at my wedding. Yeah, I love you so much. I'm a fan. Whoa, huge. Yeah, they're big. Okay, huge boobs. Congrats. Whatever.
Now, what happened? What changed? Why is she okay with it now? It makes no sense. Like, this is the same character in the beginning, right? I really want to drive home how little sense this makes. I want to drive home how little sense this makes. In the beginning, this is what happens. She shows up as She-Hulk looking like super awesome, right? And she's like upset and a hater, and actually tells her, "No, don't steal my attention at the wedding." And she has to talk with her. Don't be Hulk at my wedding. Promise you won't be the Hulk at the wedding.
As regular Jen at your wedding.
I'll just be regular Jen. Oh, thank you so much. And I'm not skipping a scene. Nothing gets explained to explain this change in attitude, right? She sees her as the Hulk later.
Whoa, huge.
I'm taking this. This wedding sucks.
It's totally unexplained. Makes zero sense. Sees her again. You've actually not only changed it to She-Hulk like you said you weren't going to do,
When I was throwing up.
you actually broke up the whole wedding and destroyed it.
Oh my god. She-Hulk is at my wedding. Yeah, I love you so.
First off, why is she surprised She-Hulk is at the wedding? She knows she's there. there's no. But anyway, here's the last thing I'm going to say, and this is my last example of making the world small. I think there was a scene that had to do with drinking. Maybe you might be right, but they didn't show it. I think something was on the cutting room floor that might explain it, but I think they cut it out or something. Now, earlier in the episode, something came out that there was a website called Intelligentsia. Intelligentsia is this website that was mentioned during the thing with the wives, and someone was talking about how they have crazy clips on Intelligentsia, and for some reason, the other two lawyers have a feeling they should look at the site, right? So they want to look at the site, and they said, "Hey, let's make a profile. It's supposed to be a site full of man babies, about angry men who troll women and hate women, right? Like, this show is so made for the internet. So check this out.
Oh, wait, I gotta look at this. What is this? She-Hulk hulking? Wait, what the hell?
Okay, so they go to Intelligentsia, and there's a She-Hulk only member section. So they're like, why is there a She-Hulk section? So check this out. So
She was so gross.
so they decided to create a fake account to get into the man baby site that's full of chuds. Now check it out. This is really good.
Okay, I just copy and
So she made this site, right? And I don't know if you can see this. I might have to change the layout, but check this out. Hopefully you can see this. It's big enough. The wedding profile, it's She-Hulk sucks 000. Um First name anonymous, last name LOL no. Um Choose your buzzwords: Bigfoot, Bitcoin, USA, exercise, protein, UFO. So they're trying to make a parody of the kind of quote unquote bros that hate the show, because everyone who hates the show has got to be an insecure man. The only way you can hate a show this good is to be a hateful, insecure man, right? Uh, Now here's the profile. Um, Let me actually be myself here. So basically, years long story short, I'm super into cryptocurrency and elk hunting, even though my last girlfriend dumped me over it, but like she was so gross. She was 30. Ooh. So some old Kevin Samuel stuff. Like everything here is like a stereotype. He hunts, does crypto, dumped his last girl because she was 30. So I'm like, okay, you got dumped at 30 or something, and you're bitter because you're single in your 30s, and the reason you're trying uh no, but, Vita, I don't know if you saw this, but this is what I said earlier. I was saying this show, I was saying how people don't grow up with a range of experiences anymore. Like this show is written like a Disney Channel show for bitter 35-year-old women uh who haven't gotten over high school. It's written like a Disney Channel show. It is so not funny. And the writer from the show that was getting a fight with me, her and her followers would say, "I guess you don't get jokes." I'm like, "No, bitch, you don't get jokes. Like, look what you're writing." Check it out.
Is what a bunch of guys have actually said to me on the internet.
So the application under review, the application was instantly approved. There's just people sitting there. Now, this is supposed to be the big reveal. We're almost at the end of the season. It turns out the big bad of the whole season has created this website. And this is what I say about they think small. The biggest, baddest thing the bad guy can do is make a Reddit page. If you look at this, this is all Reddit. Take a look.
Friends with bros. Okay.
So, and that's like here the sinister music. They make it sound like this is the most sinister discovery you could ever find. Like the music so doesn't match what they found. So you would think with this music they found something really ominous, but check it out.
Friends with bros.
It's just Reddit hate tweets.
This is what?
Oh my god.
Wow, how do we kill She-Hulk?
They're trolling. They're saying mean things on the internet. Oh my god. This can't be. No. Oh my god. How could a Hulk fight this? Oh my god. No, not this, right? So let's look at some of this stuff. Some of this is good. Hashtag cancel She-Hulk. These guys created a private Reddit just to hate on She-Hulk. Why they hate on her? No idea. Just because she's a woman and she's awesome. When you a Hulk but you still dumb, someone just shoot She-Hulk. He's the best memes. He's the memes. And look how low effort these memes are. Like wants equality, still wants to pay for dinner. Wears yoga pants, mad when you look. Guilty of dressing like a man. Like not only are they not funny, like real memes are funnier than this, but there's like no effort. These are memes from 2000s. Remember 2000s when memes first started, and that those corporate memes. That's what. How do we swat She-Hulk? Which means like dox her. And then She-Hulk, A reason She-Hulk needs to die. But you know what's funny about this, right? And then it reaches, how do we kill She-Hulk? Now, one of the truths about the internet, it's unfair, but it's true. Social media. Death threats are like a handshake on the internet. I have had death threats for not liking, like, I made a joke about Jesse being the bad guy in Breaking Bad. I got about 10 death threats on Twitter. Like, you can get death threats for anything on Twitter, but these fragile types always try to broadcast the death threats to make people really think, oh, you know, really in trouble. Uh, but that ominous music, that sense of fear, it made me realize, holy shit, this is really what logging onto social media is like for these people. Like, for example, when I was arguing with that girl, I'm like, wow, this is really what she probably sees when I make fun of her. Like she probably thinks I tried to kill her. You know, like that music is so ominous and so crazy, and everything is about like first of all, it's not cool to do death threats. I'm not saying it's cool to do death threats, but most death threats online are usually someone's like, you dumb c word, gonna kill you, or what happens to me is like, f you n word, I know where you live, and I own guns. So I've gotten stuff like that. People do slurs at me and whatever and stuff, but they don't look like this, like a whole page of just nothing. But they don't even explain why they hate her, except she's just awesome. Like she hasn't done anything. She's not even a real superhero yet. She hasn't done anything. She had one fight that was public where she stopped somebody from killing a jury. The rest of the time, she just walks around. But they have their own persecution complex of, hey, I'm so successful. I'm writing for Marvel, the man babies. They're writing about themselves as TV and movie writers of Marvel Comics, and they're taking down the fans. But it makes no sense in the context of the story. She Hulk's a lawyer. She doesn't talk about social justice issues. She doesn't do anything except show up to work and work. She doesn't have a platform. She doesn't even really superhero. So, like, why are they treating her the way you imagine you get treated as a public figure that openly antagonizes man babies all day long? It's yeah, this I didn't see any and all criticism, but they're so busy trying to make the character themselves. They don't care about any type of internal consistency within the world of the character. They just make the character be whatever they need the character to be. It makes zero sense. So this went a little longer than I wanted because it's there's no way to capture the badness of this episode in a short amount of time. Like as I was talking about, I just realized. So again, they made it small. This is supposed to be a big, big bad guy, and his that's supposed to be implied to be a threat to this super villain. And the biggest thing they could imagine him doing is making a Reddit page with a bunch of dude bros that are bashing her. Now, I don't I read comics as a kid. I don't Well, actually no, up to college and a little bit after, but I haven't read them recently. So I didn't know what intelligentsia was. I'm like, why is this Reddit site called intelligentsia? So I googled what intelligentsia is, and this is crazy, right? I googled intelligentsia Marvel Comics, and this is what I found out. Check this out. It turns out the intelligentsia is a super group of bad guys in the Marvel universe that has, recently appeared in Hulk comics. So in it, you have the leader, the smartest man in the world, Mr. Sinister, a big X-Men villain. You have Modok, who's like uh mind powers and super intelligent. You have something called the Mad Thinker and his android. These are all like the biggest heavy hitters of super geniuses in the Marvel universe. And apparently they've had several waves of the intelligentsia, right? So I found this one, that's a new intelligentsia, but they also had one that was Modok, the Red Ghost, the Wizard, who's again like one of the smartest people on Earth. The Mad Thinker and his awesome android. These are all like classic A-list Marvel supervillains. So, and this is the last thing we ended on. you took something as big as that, like some super new Illuminati, um, incredible brain trust of all superpower geniuses who have off the chain IQs among like the smartest people on Earth, and you reduce them to um, crypto bro trolls with their own private Reddit. That's the biggest thing you can think to do with them with your $25 million budget. And yeah, that's basically it. That was the final example of making shit small. Um, but yeah, so when people say I'm obsessed with this show, you see why. Thanks for everybody who donated. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So yeah, Star Wars, the evil empire now is now someone just trying to get a promotion from Darth Vader over, the white male haters. Black Widow just goes to high school reunions uh, to hug it out with her besties and whatever, and the She Hulk just hangs out, does 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 whatever. Does whatever. Yeah, the final boss, it'll be the leader as a podcaster. Yeah, Intelligentsia Sharks and Modoc Trap House. They're gonna be the podcast villains in season 2. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, they're super smart, but she's able to create an account on a website, a transparently fake account. Like, hey, I really hate the girls. This bitch is dirty. I dumped her. Like, who writes like, yeah, but this show is so pleased with itself. You can hear the giggling of the writers as they type the things or pitch the ideas. You can like almost hear the giggling as you watch the show. They're so pleased with themselves. And then what's gonna happen is this: they're gonna tell everyone who complains that they're sexist or racist and whatever, and the show wasn't made for you. Then when the ratings tank, they're gonna get mad at everyone who didn't watch the show and say that you should have watched the show, even if you're a man. So yeah, that's it. Take care, everybody. Have a good one, and keep supporting the show. Take care.